go this way and then we'll.
Notice Johnson, that on the video, taught us all city street for small business owners, very small, but excited about the challenge ahead. A question for you, a statement for us. You have a big opportunity to come in and feel elected. I like your plan, like the 49 years. And it's a wild decision. You know, you wait for someone to come in and just do it. You know, I'll be 57 years old next month. And so I've been around a little bit. I'm one of the ones that left Shreveport and moved to Dallas for 9 years and moved back here. So I understand what you're saying about that. But, you know, it's time for somebody to come in and just stop playing games, you know, and just do it. Do it for everybody, you know. I'm an that guy. My mom lived in the same house we was raised in right now. She's one of the fortunate ones that she has somebody like me to take care of the house, fix it up for us, and you know how to do that. So the 49 coming through, I'm for that. That's what we need. But people like my mom, you know, 88 years old, my sister, they stay home all the time, you know, they don't know what 49 means, they don't know what it means. People like myself, Tyler, well, the big mouth. What you want to do about educating people on stuff like that? Because the community doesn't just jump to that. And if you're elected, you know, keep it real. You need the black vote, white vote to win this thing, both of you. And so, but the education of having someone to come and say, listen, we're going to build 49 here, it's going to be dynamic, you're going to move out. You buy your home is worth about $11,000. Here's 11 grand, you got to go away for $11,000. So the deal is, you know, you got to come in with a plan and say, we're going to give you 4 times that amount, make it sound good, you know, then everybody can be on one page and understand what the organizer is going to actually do what I look at. You know, so the big mic people that has this mic in their hand needs to actually get out and talk about what the organizer is going to actually. A lot of us just don't know. They don't know. They have no idea. Like, it's borderline, really. So, you know, I've got people in my family that don't matter. I'm like, you don't know? I'm telling you about that. You know, but you know, so people with the big mic needs to get out and just so it's your opportunity now to go out and get the mayor to get out and just ring that bell and then put people knocking people's doors and that's just my mistake.
Right. Well, and listen, I am a property owner that my property was taken by eminent domain. And so I am very empathetic to that process. The redevelopment that we have for Allendale, the plan, and like I said, my heart is near and dear to Allendale because that's where my family, all my family roots are from. So the unfortunate part about what's happened in the past is that the studies are so old that now there's more adjudicated properties. And there's actually an avenue that is beneficial not only to the city, but to all the residents as well. And not only where, because the adjudicated properties currently right now in Allendale, the city should not be owning all those properties. And one of the big platforms for me are walkable, bikeable cities. And I just did this interview with an organization called A Better Shreveport. And you would think, oh, walkable, bikeable city, right? That's what the 21st century, you know, these young hipsters, that's what they want. My son lives in Washington, D.C., you can't give him a car. You know, young people want to be able to bike to work. That's their buzzword. But the reality is that impoverished neighborhoods need walkable, bikeable cities because they need alternative means of transportation that are not reliable upon the public bus system, because the public bus system ends at a certain time. So if they have a service industry job, they cannot take that job, and so it's economically an impediment to them. So a walkable, bikeable city has two benefits, you know, I mean multiple benefits if you want to talk about recreation, you know, quality of life and so forth issues. But from an economic standpoint, it has the benefit that you reduce the use of the vehicle. You invite more life and livelihood into your inner city and your core. And then it helps people that they don't have to have a reliance on automobile transportation or public transportation for employment. So The redevelopment plan of Allendale actually looks at linking all of those adjudicated properties. And there is actually a natural drainage pathway, and I've invited Pat, to the office many times to see this. And we're just gonna have to see what the environmental studies come back and say. But whether they, if they say it's a go, it's a go. But if they say no, there are alternative routes that are within that same corridor that would be less disruptive to families. Because the initial studies, like I've got the maps and I have the GIS for it as well, is that when you update it, you see that there's more of a pattern a little bit to the west and directly west of Booker T. Washington that some of the leading experts are looking at now, that's saying that would more than likely be a better avenue. One of the reasons why I like it too is it's shorter. So it's not as expensive as the first one. The first one has a big curve that comes into the city, and this one just connects directly from where I-49 terminates at I-20, and then you just draw a straight line, boom. You do a little curve around Booker T. Washington, and there's a church on Hearn that you have to avoid, and then it connects directly with where it terminates at 220. So it's almost like a direct path. So it makes the distance shorter, and everybody knows per square foot of freeway is very expensive. So I think Secretary Kennedy is very excited about that. There's some design firms down in New Orleans that have been looking at that as an alternative. But whatever the citizens support, I am your representative. And wait, there was a good question. What was the other question about? I forgot, but go ahead.
I was going to say, Otis asked about educating all people about the importance about what I was going to do. But what he's specifically asking is, you're a mayoral candidate with an election on December 6th. So how are you going to get your message, which is at this point different from Ollie's, to all people, and specifically the people, the African American people, who are going to help decide this election, regardless of who they vote for, one way or the other. So that's what he's really asking.
Okay, well, we are a grassroots candidate. So unless everybody wants to donate tonight to Victoria Provenza, the committee to elect Victoria Provenza, what we have been doing is I have been openly participating in forums. I have gone to every single event that I've been invited to. We've leveraged technology. I think if you looked at, I think Lou Burnett put out a per vote cost, is that I'm your best return on investment. We only had for the primary $1 per vote compared to, Ollie and Patrick, who's were way, way higher. So we don't have the money, I don't have a political party backing me, so I don't have the financial support to get out there on television and media. So I've just really been getting out every single day, going to as many places as I'm invited and speaking about it. So if you have a place that you would like to invite me to come, I've got my calendar right here in my pocket, and I'd be happy to come speak. Thank you.
What about that dog park? When are we going to get that?
As soon as I'm elected.
So does that economic gardening include legalizing pot?
No. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to laugh, and I'm very, very sorry. No.
So that's something that Louisiana, it's going to take Louisiana another 35 years, like it took them to figure out that they needed I-49. It took them 35 years to figure that out, so that they're going to be last on that list when it comes to legalizing pot or same-sex marriage. Those are the kind of things, same-sex marriage in particular, that can bring a well-educated group of people into this area. And as long as they continue to shut the door on certain social issues, Louisiana will always, always be last on every list, as it is right now. It is.
And I do apologize. Melvin Slack was the candidate that promoted legalization of marijuana. And I will tell you this, from every single forum, he truly was genuine. I mean, he really was. I know, and so I do apologize for laughing. So, because that was rude, and I didn't mean to do that. I will say this, though, I've looked at decriminalization. And that is something. We've looked at diversion programs, not only at the Juvenile Justice Center, but at CCC for decriminalization of first-time marijuana offenders. And that actually does have a very, very strong economic component and plays out. Because we don't want to continue being a pipeline straight to Angola. We've got to put a stop to that. So that I will agree on.
We want Louisiana to be mainstream with the rest of the country and want it to be able to compete with the rest of the country.
That I agree with. We have got to be able to compete.
How many of you think the current administration and the city council get along?
Like a cat and a dog.
All right. I gotta say, that most cities are really businesses, and that's what we're business. You talk about your business, I've got a business. I depend on this business over here getting bigger every year and getting smaller. And I look at the leadership. The leadership is not just the person that's standing in the mayor's position, it's also the city council. But the combination of those two are really the people that make decisions about where we're going to go. So my question to you is, the city council is there. They're not going to go away, they're still there.
Right.
The mayor is going to change. How do you feel about how you can do in helping synergize the relationship between the mayor's office and the city council to get this city off its ass? Excuse me, ladies. Yeah. And going forward, we don't need the same old, same old. We don't need the last decade of failures and start going backwards again.
Okay, well, I'm going to address that with my greatest strength is I make data-driven decisions. And I will not send one proposal to the city council as their guest, because the mayor is the guest of the city council. But I will send a professional product that is fully backed up by data. So, for example, when they were looking at the amendment on the pension, and this is how I found out about the 25% error in the accounting, city accountant, was the mayor sent an amendment to the city council that had no data with it. They didn't know what their best case, their worst case scenarios were, or what their most likely scenarios are. So the first thing that I will do is when I'm interacting with the city council, I will not send them any idea, concept, proposal, anything, unless it is fully backed by data, so that a decision can be made immediately in the council meeting that is data-driven. Now, it's up to them to determine whether that's in the best interest of their districts. I can't change that. But the second point is that I think by being not part of this struggle that we've had for so long, which is the Glover camp and the Tarver camp, by being a member of neither of those, and here's the good thing about not having a lot of money, is I only owe the people that, that sounds bad, I only owe the people that contributed to my campaign. The people who contributed to my campaign are people who want a well-managed city. That's what they were told when they were delivering the checks, and that's what they're going to get. So I am not a candidate that owes anyone anything. So the difference is that there may be times where it may appear that I'm siding with this side of the council because I've made up my mind that that's the best decision to move the city forward. And there may be times when I support, the people that support the Tarver side of the council. And, I was going to say that a little bit earlier. Patrick Williams, he is still my state representative, and Senator Tarver is my senator. I will work with both of them, and whoever can bring money from Baton Rouge up to Shreveport. So I don't have an agenda. I'm not driven by, who donated to my campaign, because it's really neither one of those sides are on my campaign. And I can move forward, and I hope that the council recognizes that. Obviously right now, like today in the budget meeting, I got a very positive reception. And, maybe the honeymoon will last a little bit longer. But I do believe very, very strongly that by being separated from the current administration and not being their candidate of choice, that I can truly represent the best interest of the city and not side with one or the other and only make the decision if it's on the best interest.
More questions?
I noticed you said that you were a guest of the city council. You understand that the charter says that the governing authority of the city is the city council. The mayor's the chief executive officer, and you would have a chief administrative officer. The kind of the question you already asked, but one of the questions I have gets right down the heart of meetings. As the mayor, you're not supposed to direct the meeting. The president of the council is. But you can control it. You can either lollygag for half an hour like you currently do, or you can have a tone of business. Tell me about your relationship. How do you expect you, your CAO, and the council to work together, and why you're a better candidate than the person who touts all of her administrative experience?
Well, I think the reality is you have to have the relationship. And I come immediately from a neutral ground. So I'm not aligned with either of the sides that have prohibited this growth for so long. I'm not backed by that group of people that are very, very small that have controlled government and banking and land acquisition in Shreveport for so long. That is the benefit, I am telling you, of being a grassroots candidate. And it has really taken on. I mean, the citizens have embraced this, and all of you, I just want to thank you so much. Because without technology in the past, this would have never been able to be accomplished. Patrick Williams had almost $500,000. And I think I had 28,000 at the time. So I wouldn't have been able to make it into the runoff without technology and without the citizens embracing our campaign and truly understanding how being neutral is going to benefit the city. The other thing is decorum. We have to return decorum to City Hall. I always kind of say, because I live up in North Highlands and I go to all the Harrelson landfill meetings, and you've been there too, Dan, is that it kind of looks like, it just looks like this, in House of Lords, where they rip off their big old wigs, and they literally just start, duking it out. You guys have seen that, the British Parliament. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, they have those long white wigs, the curly wigs or whatever, and they'll be discussing something, and all of a sudden they just rip their wigs off, and they're just boom, 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 boom. Well, that's kind of what has happened in the city of Shreveport. So the sideshow has taken the place of progress. And so what I hope to bring back is decorum, it's business, we're a pro-business city, and we're going to move forward and serve our citizens.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Victoria, I have a question for you.
Okay.
There is
Oh, wait, hold on.
just one more.
Oh, yeah, I'm just teasing. Only because it was you and I wanted to do that.
I know you did,
Just
because I teased you at my meeting.
Just teasing.
There is a little program at City Hall that's called the Fair Share Program. And I, as a small business owner, I actually was told to go down there and apply.
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course, against my better judgment, I went down there. And everybody that has ever went to Secretary of State and applied for anything is on the Fair Share Program. So as you coming in as mayor, if that happens, there needs to be a serious dissection of the Fair Share Program, because I feel that there has been a buddy system in that also, and that those of us that were honest, those of us that did the right thing, those of us that didn't, as you say, kiss ass, did not, pardon me, I said it, that...
I'm running for mayor. I did not say
no,
that.
you did not, I said it. But we did not end up on the receiving end
Right.
of the Fair Share Program. And I'm not saying I'm against it, because I'm not, but as I went down there as a business owner and talked to that lady down there, she looked at me like I was from another country. She was not, at all receptive to me, my ideas, or anything. And I just feel that there is a serious buddy system in the Fair Share Program, definitely. And so there definitely needs to be an overhaul in there, for sure. And the other thing I want to tell you is that there are a lot of people are upset because they go down there with a complaint and they cannot get past one person.
Mm-hmm.
So what exactly, I want you to explain what you explained at our meeting. is your plan for getting past that person that says they can't get past someone else
Right.
to get a resolution?
Okay, well, I'll answer your first question first because that's near and dear to my heart. I'm a high-tech, small business, woman-owned technology company. And I was getting ready to start the 8A application process, which is a federal set-aside program that is very diligent in checking the background information on the applicants. And the reason why that is because, say, I'm a geologist or an engineer and I'm a female, but there's a lot of males that dominate that field. And they can put their wife on the application, but their wife doesn't have the knowledge. And that just really makes me angry, because it should be the person who has the knowledge. Well, in Colorado, where I had my certification, that was very heavily checked out. And so that is what I'm proposing here. I did have my Hudson Initiative. Did you do the Hudson Initiative here? And I felt that that was a little bit more stringent than the Fair Share program. But I agree with you 100%, and you're not the only person, and we are not the only two people that have experienced this with the Fair Share program. The whole concept of, and I don't want to say entitlement, but affirmative action programs are so that you build capacity in a certain minority in a certain industry. And it is needed, and I support it 100%. The problem that we have in Shreveport is the Fair Share program is not fair. Now, I have said from the very beginning that we're overhauling contracting. Our contracts are a mess. And they have to be ethically and professionally managed. Most cities have a database, but with that database comes your performance matrix. So your past performance is scored against your ability to be able to bid on future projects. We're also going to do that in the Fair Share program, number one, so we can build capacity, but number two, so we can make sure that we have a full dashboard of transparency, open to the public, so that everyone can see where those contracts are going. Here's the best benefit. Sometimes vendors don't like that, but let's say you're bidding on 4,000 manila folders, and that comes up for bid every year. When you have an open contracting process, you go look at last year's bid, and you try to outbid it. And it actually ends up being better for the citizens because you get the best bid. So open and transparent government is beneficial to everyone. There's a lot of companies that will like City of Houston's one of my customers, and I'll go to City of Houston or Denver is perfect. City of Denver, you look at, see what the incumbent bid was from the previous year, and I'm just like, I don't have the margin that I can beat that. I know it. So I'm not gonna waste time, my business development line item, wasting time on a bid I know I can't beat. And that's really, really nice for the vendor as well as the city, because you do, by being open and transparent, get that. Okay, the second part was, so we're cleaning up the contracting process. We're actually the fraud and waste. And so Sarbanes-Oxley, and now in government it's called GASB, it's Government Accountability Standards Board, GASB. And you'll hear me talk about that a lot because it's something that I want to bring to Shreveport. It affects your bond ratings, it makes you a better city. They're only guidelines and recommendations, but they're very strongly implemented across the United States, and I want to implement them here. So by doing that, is that we're going to open up a line of the channel, not only to the public, but to employees, because employees, for the most part, want to serve the citizens at City Hall. They have not been given the tools and the proper training to do that, and we will move in that direction. But they are the best to find fraud and waste because they're at that job 40 hours a week and they know where that is. So we want to build a side department, a compliance department, which includes audits, contracts, and compliance, all within direct line to me, so that there's no midline or upper line supervisors that can squash those requests down. And that's fraud and waste and request. On the citizen side, we're going to implement what's called a Web 2.0 environment. Unfortunately, the city already purchased the software. It's one of my business partners, so I have nothing to do with it. But now we can implement it. And that means that if you, as a citizen, you log your complaint, and you can either do that on the internet, or you create a work ticket that is then followed by a dashboard And then I can look at it at any time, the supervisors can look at it at any time, managers can look at it at any time. It's a great way to deploy resources where you need them. You can follow that work ticket and see where your progress is and where it is without having to call back and see what the resolution of that was. And then for people who still need to call in, we'll have a call center where then agents will be able to enter that information. And so, you know, for people that aren't as internet savvy, we'll have it both 20th century and 21st century. So yes, we have a great plan, a Lean Sigma plan for addressing those issues.
One last
Okay,
question.
one last question.
One last question, 90-second answer.
Okay.
You as a candidate, Ms. Tyler as a candidate, how important is it for y'all to be on a live televised debate before December 6th?
You know, I think it is extremely important. I hope that the public demands it. The mayor is the mouthpiece for your city. I'm going to hire the very best CAO, and I'm going to tell you that, because I'm not going to be there running the city every day. I'm going to be out being your cheerleader. I have the energy to do it. I have the intelligence to do it. And I love being on my feet and talking. See, here we are. Everybody's going, come on, wrap it up, we're hungry. But it's important for your leader of your city to be able to think on her feet and meet with business owners and get out there and grab business. And I promise you, I'm going to hire the best CAO to run the city. Promise you that. So the city's going to run beautifully while I'm out there cheerleading for you every single day to make these plans happen. So I hope that you will demand, as citizens, a live debate, because I think, you know, that's how you're best going to make your decision.
I'm going to give you the last word, but I want to make one statement because, you know, we've been doing this for 11 plus years. And we brought in virtually everybody in the state of Louisiana and outside of it. And, you know, on October 15th, there were 6 candidates in the mayor's race. And 4 of them came to this room and debated and asked questions of each other and fought it out. I mean, that's what democracy is all about. It's not always pleasant. And just, I want to make this perfectly clear. Because when we started this 11 years ago, this was not my idea. I had a high school friend who wanted to see people interact in business, and he had lived in Boston and San Francisco, and he said, Pat, we have to host an event where we can get some people in the room to make a difference. And so that's what we try to do. And as great as tonight is, and you see this capable candidate running for mayor that Shreveport citizens are going to have a chance to vote on. There's 2 people to vote on. And one of the most frustrating things for me is I have sponsors, I have heavy political people, and I say I, because I've worked since I was 17 years old to have that network, to try to benefit Shreveport, Bossier, and this city, people of all persuasions. And one of the things that frustrates me, and I just got to tell the truth, is we have a candidate who's leading in the polls, like it or not, at this point. But the vote's on December 6th. Well, the poll that was taken November 4th. Okay.
Okay.
But the point I'm trying to make is, I've done everything I can do to get Ms. Tyler in this room. And she's not engaging. And we're in a facility where a person invested $4 million 11 years ago for the betterment of Shreveport Bossier, and we can't get more dialogue. And it's very frustrating. And not only that, we don't even get communication other than a public statement saying we're not doing any more forums. And so the point being, I mean, I made a decision at age 17 to try to make this place better. And we're going to keep trying to do that. But we have to demand of people that, whether it's these candidates or others, to show up in the room and tell people what's on their mind. Now, and I'll just say this, I understand there are reasons to engage and not engage. But the other candidate didn't engage on October 15th either. Okay? And I'll just tell you straight out. And what I've determined in the last 11 years, there is a business cartel that runs Shreveport Bossier. You can like it, not like it, agree with it, not agree with it. But the reason that candidate didn't show up on October 15th, and as well tonight, is because of that business cartel.
Pat, one quick point, that's exactly right. Regarding the debates, Channel 3 seems to have just acquiesced. I've never seen a campaign before, all over the country and all over Louisiana, candidates in a runoff are debating up and down the state. In big races, small races, but not this one. I don't see how Ms. College just gets to say, I'm not doing it, I'm gonna take a pass. And Channel 3 has approached us, and I'm sure other candidates about, well, let's do a lengthy interview and try to use that to replace the debate. To me, there's something very much lost in a very comfortable interview one-on-one than there is with two candidates going back and forth. We all know that there's a dynamic there that doesn't occur in a one-person interview. So if you feel like it, you might encourage whoever you know at Channel 3 or just the general information box, say, why don't y'all put some pressure, why don't y'all strongly encourage Ollie Tyler to meet Ms. Provenza in a forum, at least one forum, one-hour forum. I mean,
And let me say this, that's a good point, but here's the other point that I want to make, okay? I told you at age 17, I decided to stay here and go to Centenary, and we do what we do. And we're going to keep doing it, okay? And I got news for you. That interstate is going to get built.
It's gonna get built.
$12,200.
It's gonna get built.
It's going to get built.
gonna get built.
Right now. I don't care if there's a cartel operating in Shreveport, Bossier, or within 30 miles all around here. We're going to create those 12,200 jobs for people's kids and grandkids to get it done. Why? And I drew it out the other night at a forum.
Because it's in my plan.
Well, that as well.
Pat, can I interrupt here just real quick? I apologize, I have a 7 o'clock appointment that I have to be at, and I just appreciated so much tonight being with you. Thank you. Because for candidates who do want to get out and engage with our public, you do provide a wonderful opportunity, and I guarantee you, the day that we do get the money in Baton Rouge, I'm sending you and Anna Marie and Mr. Wyatt out down there in a big truck to bring that money back.
I'll be the first person to tell you